Buongiorno e buonasera a tutti. Welcome back to CRAVE Italy, where Italy meets America and stories bring us together. This episode is dedicated to Assemblymember Catherine Stefani, a strong advocate for our community who helped bring the recognition of the Italian Heritage Month to the entire state of California. We will begin with her beautiful message to the community, and later she will be joined right here on CRAVE Italy for an inspiring conversation about leadership, service, and Italian heritage. Let's begin.
Ciao tutti, I'm Assemblymember Catherine Stefani. I represent the west side of San Francisco and northern San Mateo County, and I'm so excited to be celebrating Italian American Heritage Month this October. As a proud Italian American, my family taught me the values of hard work, family, and service, values that have guided me throughout my life and career. Here in San Francisco, you can see Italian history everywhere, from the fishermen who built North Beach and our waterfront, to the artists, writers, and civic leaders who helped shape this city into the cultural capital we know and love today. That's why I've always been proud to champion this heritage. First, as a supervisor, recognizing Italian Heritage Month here in San Francisco, and now as your Assembly member, bringing that recognition to the entire state of California. And this year, I was also so proud to help form the Italian Caucus of California, a bipartisan and bicameral effort to make sure the Italian American story is celebrated and remembered for generations to come. This month is about pride, resilience, and community, honoring those who came before us and carrying their legacy forward. Happy Italian American Heritage Month, everyone.
Grazie mille. What a beautiful message, Assemblymember Catherine Stefani. And now it's time for L'Angolo della Lingua Italiana with Arianna. Arianna, a te la parola.
Ciao a tutti e bentornati al sesto episodio di CRAVE Italy all'Angolo della Lingua Italiana. Questa settimana, this week, we will learn 2 everyday common questions that you could be asked by an Italian friend or acquaintance, as well as ways in which you could choose to respond to these questions. So, the 2 questions are dove sei, which directly translates to where are you, and dove vai, which directly translates to where are you going. Although they are different questions, you can answer them by following a similar language composition. For dove sei, you would respond by saying sono, a, al, or in, ... And for dove vai, you would respond by saying vado, a, al, or in. This might seem a bit confusing, but essentially, a, al, and in are prepositions. These are used between sono e vado and the location of where it is that you are going to be going. So, I will teach you a very easy trick to knowing which preposition to use in which situation. So, your specific location will dictate which preposition you use between a, al, and in. So, let's begin by looking into a, the preposition a. So, you would be using the preposition a if you are talking about a very specific location or a city. For example, if you were talking about a city, you would respond by saying sono a Roma or vado a Roma. I am in Rome or I am going to Rome. Rome being the city. Then, if you are talking about a specific location, for example, you could say something along the lines of sono a scuola or vado a scuola. I am at school or I am going to school. So those are the examples of when you would use the preposition a. Now, moving on to the preposition al. This one is a bit different. So al is actually an articulated proposition, which is composed of the proposition a, which we previously discussed, and a masculine singular definite article il. We put the a and the il together and form the al, A-L. Al is used when you have the preposition a, as we previously discussed, due to the location being a city or a specific location. And then we would add the L. Instead of a, we would say al if the noun is masculine, thus requiring the il. This might be a bit confusing, but I think the example will help you understand better what I'm trying to explain. Essentially, when I say that the noun is masculine, what I'm trying to convey is that, for example, if we're talking about a city, in Italian, Cairo is masculine, so it's il Cairo, okay? It's masculine, so it would have the IL. When you put it together with sono or vado, because there's the a, the preposition a, because it is a city that we are talking about, we would put the a and the il together to make al. And so it would go sono al Cairo or vado al Cairo. Then the example of a specific location could be something along the lines of a park. So we could say sono al parco or vado al parco, because park in Italian, parco, is masculine. So it has the il parco. I hope that better explains the whole concept of al. Now, moving on to the last preposition, which is in. This one, along the lines of a, is used in very specific locations. For example, you would use the preposition in, if you were talking about a country or a larger geographical area, buildings or rooms, or modes of transportation. So, I'll give you 3 examples that have to do with those 3 locations. The first being the country. For example, I would say sono in Italia or vado in Italia. I am in Italy or I am going to Italy. Italy is a country, and so we would use in. Then for the example of buildings, I could say sono in chiesa or vado in chiesa. I am in church or I am going to church. Church is a building, and so we would use in. Lastly, for modes of transport, for example, we could say sono in treno or vado in treno. Treno is train, and so I could say I am in the train or I am going by train. So we would use in, as it is a mode of transportation. I hope that made sense. I hope that the questions and grammatical tricks and tips will be useful to you when you are talking with an acquaintance, a family member, or a friend, and trying to understand each other in terms of questions like where are you going and where you currently are located. So, grazie mille for tuning in to another week of L'Angolo della Lingua Italiana. I hope to see you again next week. Arrivederci!
This episode of CRAVE Italy is brought to you in partnership with the Consulate General of Italy and the Italian Culture Institute of San Francisco. With their support, we celebrate tradition, promote the Italian language, and highlight innovation that connects Italy and America. To learn more and explore upcoming events, visit their official websites. We are so honored to have Assemblymember Catherine Stefani with us on CRAVE Italy. You just heard her message celebrating Italian Heritage Month, and now we are excited to get to know her a little better and talk about her passion for service and her Italian roots. Catherine, benvenuta a CRAVE Italy.
Always so good to see you, Samantha.
What does Italian Heritage Month mean to you personally, and how do you celebrate your Italian roots here in San Francisco?
Well, I think it's just a chance to honor, those who came before us, who worked so hard to create a life for us today. My great-grandfather came over here in the late 1800s from Lucca, Italy, and it's just really a chance to honor all the opportunities they created for us through their hard work and perseverance. It's a chance to connect with other Italians who have that same shared history and appreciation for their loved ones and family and community. And as you know, celebrating like we did on Friday night and Saturday and Sunday is just a chance to gather and really honor our past and look forward to our future, and never forget what Italians have done for the city and county of San Francisco and the state of California and our entire country.
That's amazing. I'm sure a lot of people want to know a little bit more about you. Can you share a little bit about your family background and how your Italian heritage has shaped you who you are today, both personally and in public service?
Definitely. Like I said, my great-grandfather, Carlo Stefani, came over here from Lucca in the late 1800s and settled in the Central Valley in Merced, California. And they had a ranch. They were farmers. They sold produce in the local market. They worked very hard forming relationships with other Italians and others like Portuguese. So many different immigrants that came over at that same time looking for opportunities and hope and fleeing other types of poverty and persecution, whatever it was. They formed in bonds that lasted and really helped them and create space for the rest of us. And then my grandfather, Joe Stefani, he was known as the mayor of Canal Street in Merced. He started a clothing store in 1936. Oh. And both my great-grandfather and my grandfather, they were not educated. My grandfather, Joe Stefani, never finished high school because he had to go to work on the farm during the Depression. But he was able to create an incredible clothing business in the Central Valley. And then my dad, he is the first to ever graduate from college in our family. He went to the University of Notre Dame. And the examples of giving back to one's community, public service, family, the values of perseverance, and all of that, it just has been something so consistent throughout my family. That has led me to the career that I found myself in. But I just look to them and my Nana, Mary Stefani too. She was known as of course, the matriarch of the family that held us all together and had the big Sunday dinners and the holiday dinners, all the great food, and all the, passionate living. Really, Notre Dame football games to Christmas Eve dinners, and I just feel so blessed to have grown up Italian like I did, and I still have family in Italy and I've been able to see them, so I just feel really blessed to have those examples of hard work, perseverance, and love of community, their faith, and all of that, and I just want to carry that forward for my children as well.
Yeah, you're doing so much for our community. It's amazing. You've been such a strong voice for community, public safety, and how has your heritage inspired your value as a leader?
Yeah, I think too that close-knit family, that close-knit community, taking care of one another in times of crisis and in just regular times. It's relying on one another, and those are the examples that I saw growing up, and being close with our congressman, Tony Coelho. I interned for him when I was 16 years old in Washington, D.C., and he was very close with my family. And just, again, that example of public service, really giving back and making sure that everyone's okay, and that if they're not, we're finding ways to make them okay. And if there's systems we need to create or fix in our government to make that happen, we do it and we advocate for it. And I just feel so lucky to have had that example and opportunities through my family to give back.
What are some causes or initiatives you are most proud of that have made a difference in our local community?
Yeah, so public safety has been something that I care deeply about. I started my career as a lawyer right out of law school as a prosecutor in Contra Costa County. And I've been very much focused on public safety the entirety of my public service career here at the Board of Supervisors when I served as District 2 Supervisor for about 7.5 years. And in that time, I created the Office of Victim and Witness Rights. That was through Prop D that I put on the ballot in June of 2022. And that created an office that helps victims of all crime with a particular emphasis on victims, survivors of domestic violence. We want to make sure that they have access to a lawyer when they're going through difficult times. And so we're still trying to get that funded, but the creation of that office has been something that I am very proud of. And also, I've done a lot of gun violence prevention work. Here at the local level, we established a gun violence restraining order program. Pursuant to state law, we tackled the ghost gun issue, banned those here in San Francisco, and which helped force the state to take stronger action. At the state level, I just was able to pass an incredible law called Weiland's Law, and that makes certain that when there is a restraining order that prevents someone from owning a gun or being in possession of a gun or purchasing a gun, that the courts actually transmit those restraining orders over to the Department of Justice. This is named after a 10-year-old boy, Wyland Thomas Gones, who lost his life when he was 10. His mother got a domestic violence restraining order against her ex-husband, and that order was not transmitted to the Department of Justice. So when he went in to buy a gun at a local gun shop, he passed a background check because there was nothing to tell him that he shouldn't have a gun or he was prohibited. And he bought a semi-automatic pistol, and he shot his 10-year-old in the head and then himself. And then it took 2.5 years for Christie to figure out what exactly happened. So Weiland's Law passed. It was signed by the governor last week, and it will make certain that those orders are transmitted immediately and that throughout the entire process we can track whether or not those orders have been transmitted to the Department of Justice. So and that's just an example of the type of safety I'm focused on. Also did something preventing people from selling those obstructed license plates that get people out of paying tolls or red light cameras, speed cameras, and they're a hindrance to law enforcement, and we increase the penalties to merchants who sell those to $10,000 per sale. So again, just really focused on taking care of people, and public safety is at the forefront of that.
This month brings together so many Italian institutions and leaders. What does the collaboration mean to you, and why it's important to keep celebrating our roots?
Well, I love our Italian community. And for Italians, I don't know, but for me, it's like when I meet Italians, and it's like we've known each other forever. I have so many friends that I call cousin or brother or this or that. And so here in San Francisco, we are so blessed to have so many different Italian organizations. And when I got on the Board of Supervisors in 2018, we really came together in a way that we knew we had to advocate for our history and not to be forgotten, and for people to remember our contributions to this incredible city. That's why I created Italian American Heritage Day, that second Monday in October, and then I created Italian American Heritage Month. And now at the state, I've also created Italian American Heritage Month for the entire state. And what I'm most excited about is forming a 501c3, the Italian Caucus of California, which is really focused on bringing all of us together to celebrate our culture, to invest in our history and make sure that we are documenting that in a way for future generations, and that we're collaborating to really not forget where we came from and celebrate all the greatness that comes from the contributions of many of us throughout history. And again, it's just so much fun. I mean, Sunday's parade, it's the best parade. I'm biased, of course, but some other of my staff think, gosh, it's such a fun parade. And it makes me happy. That sharing, breaking bread with people, our food, our laughter, our passion on so many levels is just, for me, something to celebrate, not just in October, but year round.
Exactly. The energy on Sunday was unbelievable. They were so passionate, everybody.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So thank you. And our traditional CRAVE Italy closing question, what is your passion and what keeps you motivated to continue? You're so busy. What is beside of your work? What is your passion?
Yeah, my passion is rooted in public service, really. It's basic. My aim is to lessen human suffering. My aim is to help others and to create robust and lively and loving communities. And what keeps me going really is my children. I have a 20-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. You've met my daughter, who participates in the Queen's Court. She's all about her Italian heritage. And it's not just for me creating better conditions, for the next generation, like climate change, and it's about instilling a sense of hope in them. When we look back to our relatives and what they've gone through and how they've persevered, I want to leave a sense of hope for the next generation. And I remind people hope is not just a passive feeling, it is a muscle. And we exercise that muscle when we engage in community service, when we help one another, when we are actively engaged in our community and making things better, not just locally, but at the state level, at the national level. And every time we reach our hand out to help someone, whether it's a small act of kindness or it's getting involved in passing a bill you care so much about at the local level or the state level, it's a muscle that you're using. And I have so much hope, in these times where it's very difficult, it's hard to watch the news. I have hope in those relations, in part because of the foundation that's been laid for me and the example I have in my family going generations back. But that's what keeps me going, is this hope that we can all continue to work together to make our communities safer and better for all.
Assemblymember Stefani, thank you so much for joining us and for everything you do for our community. Your dedication, leadership and pride in your Italian roots truly inspire us, and I hope to have you back soon.
Always so good to see you, Samantha.
This segment is brought to you by Monalisa Mare Monti, a stunning Italian restaurant in San Francisco, California, where tradition meets elegance. Let's take a look.
Welcome in Monalisa Mare Monti, la vera cucina italiana, autentica, mediterranea. Abbiamo una cucina stupenda con homemade pasta, original from South Italy, the steakhouse and real seafood fresh. Abbiamo il pesce fresco, qua si mangia all'italiana. Monalisa Mare Monti 414 Colombo. Vi aspettiamo, buon appetito. Venitemi a trovarmi, grazie.
Alice Becker Inc. is one of the CRAVE sponsors, a California-based boutique that celebrates style and self-expression. This wonderful boutique offers an incredible selection of clothing for women of all ages, designed to suit every style, taste, and occasion. At the heart of Alice Becker Inc. philosophy is the belief that fashion is more than just clothing. It's a way for women to express themselves and feel confident no matter where life takes them.
Thank you so much to Alice Becker Inc. for supporting this episode. They have amazing clothes. You can check their website. And also, this is what I'm wearing, is Alice Becker. And I have a beautiful purse. Look how cute this purse. So make sure you check the website. A heartfelt thank you to everyone, and especially to our Assembly member Catherine Stefani, for joining us and for her continued dedication to our community. Grazie a tutti, e make sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media e ci vediamo settimana prossima. Ciao!